And before we begin, Yuval, I think you wanted to launch few tickets for our later on demo.
Yes. So what I will do, I will quickly share my screen just for a second. And what I want to do, I want to start the process. I created a workflow in Overcut, which we will see later in the demo, called Live Demo. And this workflow, I will just test run it now. And the purpose of this workflow is to monitor a demo repository that is connected to our system and generate a few tickets in order for us to see them in the demo. So we'll get back to it later, but back to you for now.
Okay, let me reshare my screen. So we are going to talk about the orchestrate your way to fully agentic SDLC. And I think that over the past year, the conversation around AI dramatically changed. Like if a year ago we discussed about which model am I choosing to work as a coworker, and today we're really discussing about how do we orchestrate all the development life cycle. Yes.
Exactly.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
and now we are really, really interesting to hear from you. What is your biggest challenge with AI adoption today? So we categorized it for four different answers. So maybe it's the scaling AI across engineering teams, maintaining security and governance. Third option, managing AI tools and skills agents. And the third one, how you measure the business impact you are doing while you are working with AI. Great, I can see
I
you
must say
are
for
very
now,
active.
it looks like maintaining and security and governance is a big winner. Scaling AI across engineering team is another one.
Yeah.
I think like very good engineers, nobody care about measuring. That's for management. People only talking about managing AI, managing security, which is cool. Scaling AI across teams. But I think security and governance is the biggest win here. I think it's like probably around 50% of the answers, and then it's split between scaling and managing and measuring. We have few of them. Really cool. Really cool.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, everybody already understand that writing code is 2025. It's a solved problem, right? Claude is doing that for us already, non-stop with multiple sessions, and that's great. But the world now start looking on the entire software development stack, like from requirements and product and design and writing code and testing and code review. And we already see a lot of the organization, a lot of the engineer organization in the world started building their own solution or buying point solution for all those specific item on the list. PR review, all right, that's also probably 2025. Probably people think PR review is solved already, but still, it's a big bottleneck, and it's not really solved because code review is actually one step of the review process. You need to validate the review, you need to fix the review, you need to rerun the review, and so on. Talking about ticket triage, talking about root cause analysis, talking about CVEs. And a lot of those are part of the entire stack that engineering teams try to solve today. Some of them already being solved by built-in solution, by connecting Claude to a cron job or GitHub action and do something specifically. And I think, and this is what we want to show today, the bigger challenge is how to orchestrate everything, how to take it to the next step.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think also one thing that is like really bothering leaders of that are handling software is that everybody have agents, but nobody have standards. I think today, when you're looking in the industry, how AI is in use in teams, it's like a jungle. Like it's super different between different teams and different employees within the same team, and it's absolutely crazy. Like somebody's like have 10 agents and heavily use AI and others not so much. And sometimes employees create a lot of slop that may be causing us to like reduce the trust that we have in AI processes because like the quality of those agents is not very well. So I think this is like super important. And I think that the reason that you are here in this webinar is because I guess that you are all understand that working with Claude within your IDE is just not enough. Even if you have 7 sessions open or multiple sessions open, like you need to orchestrate like something that is autonomously and across the organization and not just something local in your PC. So, yeah, another question that
Um,
we want to ask
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I think that's the my favorite slide in this part of this session before we go into the demo, which is the most favorite. And let's start another poll. Let's see where people in this session are in their journey for Agentic SDLC. And we show here 6 options. If you're familiar with Dan Shapiro article about 5 levels of agentic software development. And we all knew how to use Copilot last year or even before that. And I think most of us already doing something around the later stages. That's cool. I think a lot of people already think they are in level 4, which is amazing. Most of the answers are level 2. Oh, I think we're missing level 3 in the answers. All right, that's on us. That's on us. I think well, probably most of the people are in level 3, right? But it's missing here. So, all right, that's on us. Anyway, I think most of the answer are on level 4 and level 2. More than 60% even on that, and people are keep answering. So let's give them another second. That's amazing. That's amazing to see, and I think that's correlate with what we already see and know. So, all right,
And
cool.
also, I think that we see that those that are in L3, which is missing here, like they're choosing the L4, which is a very good sign.
Yeah,
Take one level up. So that's great.
exactly. All right, let's move on.
Okay, so let's continue. And another thing, like now we're taking you to the vision. Like, if you could automate one engineering workflow tomorrow, what would it be? Like, no constraints, whatever it's your deepest wish to automate with AI. So we really want to hear from you. What would it be? And I
And
promise this is the last part.
cool. So while that's run and let it run for a few seconds, let's talk about the most common use case we already see today, right? Because obviously we talk about code review, everybody doing code review, and I think the second most common use cases organization doing after writing code and reviewing code, root cause analysis and kind of SRE and production monitoring is the biggest one after that. That's something a lot of organizations trying to do.
Also, documentation. I think AI is like really great tool for
Right,
documentation.
right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. So automatic documentation is nice because once you have a pull request merge and you can automatically you know doing automatic documentation, that's legacy, that's all time doing that with some generation of APIs generator and so on, but doing that on like real actual customer facing text documentation, articles and stuff like that, that's really something that we see a lot. I think the entire validation loop on the code review. So after the review, what you do next with that, most people do usually is copying the URL, give it to Claude and said, hey, I got this code review, let's fix it. So this is, we see a pool there. All right,
Yeah.
let's,
Let's continue. Thank you for submitting your answers. It looks really, really interesting, and we will get back to it. So now, Yuval, you want to tell us what's going to look like with Overcut?
yes. So going back to this slide with Dan Shapiro's level, as we already see in this poll, which was missing level 3, but most of the people here in this conversation think there are something around here between level 2 and level 4. Probably some of them also in level 3. And this is what we also see in when we talk with the world, with customers, with potential industries and so on. And I think the main challenge today is for really organization to be able to really say they are in level 4. really say that they are doing automated, autonomous, write spec and get a code. Some will trust it to already merge it in extreme cases, but most of it, or most of the organization will still wait for a manual review at the end, and human in the loop and processes. But this is exactly what we're going to show you today. We're going to show you today how to do this step forward, how to move from SDLC to ADLC, how to start automating your engineering in scale, not just like one use case or second use case, a full orchestrated way with monitoring, with human in the loop, and something that will allow as a vision to get you prepared for the dark factory. 12 months from today, or maybe 6. It depends how fast things will move, and we see the pace today is really unpredictable. So we'll see that in the demo. But more or less, once again, I'm really recommend if you want to go and read Dan Shapiro's framework and article, really interesting stuff.
Okay, so now Yuval, let me take you back in time. And we call this like, we've seen this movie before. So you're one that remember the days before we had CI/CD platforms. Okay, we're gonna tell you a story. It's going to connect in the end, I promise. So Yuval, what was
So
it like? CI/CD, no
the old
platforms.
good
Yeah.
time. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many people in this session are above, let's say, 40. 20 years ago, they were already writing code in enterprises or real engineering organizations. But 20 years ago, CI/CD was not a common thing. It started. It was something. But people were doing script in order to deploy. When the cloud started, they did something to do deployment on AWS, and then they had maybe another script to testing or to run any other of automation. It was running on cron job. It was running on a machine below the desktop or any machine in the cabinet in the local data center. Um,
But
and
Yuval, today, if somebody would have told me that he's reading scripts to deploy to production, it sounds insane. Like it
exactly,
doesn't happen
exactly.
anymore.
Exactly, and we all see that it's going to happen the same thing with Agentic SDLC. We all see that, of course, today everybody can write something, then connect something, can integrate something into something, and have something happening. But eventually, it must be a real thing. It must be a platform that's really. I tell you differently. I do believe that in 6 months from today, every engineering project will have Git, will have tickets, or some kind of new way to manage tickets, CI/CD, and something to manage the agent in the SDLC, some agentic orchestration platform. And we already see the category form shape in the world. We see GitHub, we see Jira, we see other vendors coming toward this way in order to automate everything. And what we'll show today and what we'll demo today will explain how something like that really look as a single platform that do it from A to Z.
Okay, so let's discuss like you mentioned that eventually we will need a platform for running AI agents, AI workflows, and let's discuss like what it takes to build this kind of platform. So whoa, we have an overwhelming slide here, but I think for everyone who came here today for the webinar, it's really important to hear like what are the main challenges and obstacles that to take you there to the place where you have this platform that allow you to run AI agent workflows at scale. And like what
So
was our challenges when we built
yeah,
Overcut?
we live in an era where building something is really easy, really. And we all use Claude on a daily basis, or Cursor, or whatever your favorite copilot or agent is. And those who think that they can build this type of automation, they are not wrong. It's true. You can easily take today any agent, connect it to a cron job or any other automation, connect it to a sandbox, and ask it to run on a period or some kind of trigger and let it run. And that's true. But eventually, in order for it to scale and to be able to build more than one agent, second agent, third agent, and usually we see a lot of customers trying to build a first and second agent without really looking ahead and talking about the platform. But then when they start building the third one and the fourth one, they say, all right, let's step back and let's look at it and let's decide what we're doing. And a lot of the things here, and it's not everything, are core and principal engineering and knowledge that you need in order to build something like that you can really trust. And just let's mention a few of the maybe more complex thing. You want to do something that is cross repos. You don't want to have just like one repo. It's mostly never the case. You have the
Yeah, I think all organizations like have multiple repositories within one team even. Yeah, so
Yeah, one
the
team and
must.
across the organization, and you want this thing to scale above your team, so you can build something that works perfectly for your team. What about the next team and the other team? And what
Yeah,
about organization cross standards that maybe need to do something for all repos? So yeah,
yeah.
that scale is very important.
And
Uh,
also observability, like it's super valuable that you can have the insights and to
sure.
understand what steps the agent did in every step on the way, so you can like monitor it and maybe fine tune it in case he didn't made it a
Exactly.
good job.
So monitoring is very important for security. It's very important
Mhm.
for audit. It's really important for reflection and memories and self-improvement because agent can actually read their own logs, their own executions, and can improve from that. So yeah, monitoring is a big one. And how to expose this data to other agents in order for them to be able to improve.
Yeah, the
That's another thing.
context.
Yes, context is a
Yeah,
huge
and how
problem,
how
of
do
course.
you preserve the context between different workloads across like the entire loop? You're starting with from a ticket and you want to end up maybe with a pull request with all the changes that are already ready. So there's a lot of context, like the agent that decided about the specification and then the agent that took it to the design review, like they need to understand why they chose the
Exactly.
step they did in the way.
There is
Yeah.
some kind of even a conflict between a durable execution that you can maybe fail and start again without really losing everything. On the other side, you want it to be stateful. You want to be able to keep the learning and the context from one step to the other. You don't want to have something like running 2 days, eventually it fails, and you start from square one. You want to be able maybe to just recover the last one and have the context. So it's kind of a balance between the two.
Yeah. So I think that what we basically say here that like building the first workflow or like the POC is it's pretty straightforward. It's not easy. Like it takes a lot, but it's totally possible. But when you run it in the second time and in the third time and things doesn't look the same like in the previous run, and maybe you want to run tens of them in parallel, that's when you understand that you need to build a platform and like take everything into consideration. And also I think that you know that when you are developing this kind of platform, you need to understand that you will need to maintain it. Like the things that you build today are legacy from day one, and we are in an era that
For
features and
sure.
new stuff in AI emerging every day. So you need to catch up and make sure that the platform that you build is like, yeah, super
For
up to
sure.
date.
For sure. Yeah. Exactly. Cool.
Um, okay, so
Let's
I think
jump
it's
into agenda.
time to see what happened with our tickets while we were here discussing.
Yeah. So
And
let's do
so
it. Let's do it. I'll share my screen this time.
yeah,
Cool. So if you remember, and probably 30 minutes ago, you do remember, we'll go to logs and we'll see that we execute this live demo manual trigger 20 minutes ago, and it started to do stuff. So basically, it created few tickets, and then the tickets are already ongoing a process, and they're already being processed in different stages, and we will get back to it. But let's take a step back and let's understand what we see here, and let's understand what Overcut is doing and how we implement everything we talked about in the last 20 minutes and what we can do with Overcut. So let's go to the basic. Let's go to the initial setup. You want to start working with Overcut. What would you do? First thing, to connect your system. You want to connect to GitHub. You want to connect to Jira. You can connect to Slack. And basically you start mapping your organization. So for example, here you see a live example of a workspace that we are using as a dog fooding to build Overcut with Overcut. So you can see, for example, our repositories for the product, for the Helm chart, for the infrastructure, even the website and the docs. Everything is here. Every one of those repositories have context and setting in order for initially build a setup of what we're doing here and imagine hiring a new employee. And first thing you give him context, you give him the knowledge, you give him tools, you give him access to the repositories, to the ticket in Jira, you tell him what to do, how to do it, and stuff like that. You read it from docs, and this is exactly what we see here. But once we have this setup, and this is, like I mentioned, day zero, you're just setting up things, you start building what we call in Overcut workflows and orchestrations. And let's start with our playbook catalog. This is an open source catalog. If you go to Overcut AI/playbooks or something like that, we will share with you the link. You will eventually see that all those workflows also available as open source playbooks in our open source repositories. And this is just a starter. This is just something you can start with in order to start building your workflow with Overcut. The nice thing is that each one of those is fully customizable. So you want to do automatic PR description, cool. You want to do automatic ticket triage. You want to do a fixed CI workflow that will run automatically every time CI fails in order to fix the failure, to fix the test, to add the missing type, format or whatever, and then just commit and wait for the CI to be green again. You can do it. You want to run code reviews, root cause analysis, create PR. All those playbooks are available for you to start with on day one. And if we will go back to the workflow that are already set up in our environment here, and let's, for example, take one of them, code review, and I will look into the builder. You will see this is the playbook. I just installed it on a new demo project yesterday in order to prepare for this demo. And this is what comes out of the box. You can just see what's going on. So a playbook or any workflow start with trigger or triggers, and then a series of actions, serial action in sequence. And this is part of core design of what we do here. And the complexity we allow you to build and keeping it very simple. We start to do stuff. So in this case, the trigger would be PR opened, or maybe an orchestration decided to start this workflow, and we'll see what an orchestration is soon. And then clone repository, meaning we want to clone the repo that we are working on for the code review, and maybe other repos to come with that. And we know how to automatically identify those, and I can show you that also.
So that's basically mean that this workflow can run on multiple repositories at the same time, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And for each execution, we spin up a new sandbox, a new pod, in which we let the agent run. We give the agent all the tools that we will see in a second, and we clone the repo into that pod so it can start working on that, not just as an API. I'm not accessing GitHub as an API. I'm actually having a repo, just like I would work with Cloud on my machine. The agent have access to the repository locally on that pod in order to do the stuff just like a developer. And then in this case, we have 4 agentic steps: prepare, review, code review, optimize, and submit. And each one of those, you can see it's something you can customize. So for example, we can see that the code review is a step with instructions. We can give the agent instruction what to do. We can select the actual agent that will work in this step, and it can be multiple agents. I can have multiple agents in one step doing loops and sub-agent and iteration and judge and stuff like that. And each one of those agents, if we're going to look a little deeper, has its own setting and configuration and skills and MCP, which we will see soon. Other stuff you can do here on the workflow, you can set up if you want machine size, if you want to add secrets, if you want to control on some other stuff on the context. Everything is from here, and eventually this thing will run automatically.
And let me mention, Yuval, that everything that we show you here is like how to use this UI, but you can do all that just from your Claude.
Exactly.
And we have our Overcut skill. So just want to mention that you can work with it with natural language. Yeah, that's great.
Just for example, I'll give you all my secrets for today, but I want to prepare a new demo environment with the following: fork to Overcut, Overcut, copy the orchestration from Overcut project, which is our production, to the demo project, create a new workflow called live demo that will look for 3 new tickets. And Claude did it with the API on everything you see, all the setup that you see here was created by Claude from Claude. You can also have an internal chat here which have access to all the knowledge, like the logs, the execution, the reflection, the memories, a lot of stuff that Overcut can actually access to. And maybe just give you a quick example. If I will take any one of those execution and I will just ask here, did it work? It will have access to the configuration, to the execution. It will see what happened here, and then eventually we'll be able to improve and suggest fixes and suggest improvement on top of what's going on. It's reading the orchestration instance and will give us some stuff. But maybe that was too deep. Let's go back to workflow. And we looked on the code review workflow, for example. And we saw that each one of those steps, the code review, the optimize, each one of them has an agent or multiple agents. So let's see what this agent is all about. So I'll go here to agent roles, and we can see that agent is also something that you can configure and build on your own. You can build those type of agents, the profiles, a developer, backend developer, RCA expert or DevOps. And each one of them you can provide with specific instruction and knowledge, with specific secrets, MCP server, skills. So you build this team of employees, virtual employees, which, let's talk about skill, for example. If I run Claude on my repo and I have 100 skills already in my repository, Claude will probably have access to all those 100. It will impact my context. It will impact my cost, the quality, efficiency. But if I'm mapping those skills to Overcut and then give any specific agent just the skills that it needs for the operation, for the specific step, that will improve the context, will improve the cost, token optimization, and a lot of other stuff. So in this case, we have the backend developer, which has specific skills and tools. And if I'm look on the front-end developer, that's going to be exactly the same thing, but with different setup. So when we build workflows, we can invite those agents into the workflow in specific steps, in certain steps, and then they can jump in and start do the work. Next level of abstraction, which I want to show you now, and then we'll go back into the details of what we ran in the beginning of this demo and see what happened with it, is what we call orchestrations. And orchestration is just another level of abstraction above workflow. So for example, we have here in this demo 2 orchestration, one of them called ticket to PR delivery orchestration, the other one called PR review loop. And let's have a look on them. So if I look on the first one and I'll go to the builder, by the way, you can see that everything in Overcut is measured, everything is logged, everything is audited. You have instances of the execution, the changes, all the configuration for users, RBAC, security, roles, team, everything is enterprise ready. Everything is really providing you everything that you need. But let's go back to the builder and let's have a look on the builder of an orchestration. What we saw before was a specific workflow, but now we're looking on the orchestration, which is a kind of a box or a group of workflows. So for example, I invited or I added all those allowed workflow for this orchestration: automated ticket triage, root cause analysis, generate requirement, generate technical design, create PR from design. And I gave the supervisor, I gave the orchestrator the instruction. So there is a goal. Take each newly opened ticket from initial triage to the appropriate analysis path, and the goal is to actually bring it to a pull request. And I gave it instruction on how to orchestrate that, what to do when, where to start, use automated ticket triage as the universal entry workflow, and then route features through requirements and route bug through RCA, and do that and so on. We can also have rules like what would be the maximum steps in order to prevent loops, how many times each specific workflow can run, and we can also set gates for human in the loop. So I can add the gate here and said, all right, I want to have this before PR gate, before PR, and I will say that I want this gate to run every time before we move to the create PR from design workflow. And that means that the agent or the supervisor will always stop and wait for the human to have a decision to approve the design or the plan before we go to PR, or we can remove that and let it decide. So the agent, the supervisor, can also decide when the human is needed without setting those gates. And when you set those gates, you can actually enable chat and give it some context and give it access to previous step context in order to be able to make decisions.
So I think that orchestrations, if like we're trying to simplify what it means, it's like this is the way that we see you taking a full operation end to end in your software development lifecycle, right? It can be the PR review loop, and it can be ticket to PR, and this is
Maybe
like how you.
design, yeah, project management, exactly. Exactly. So if we look, for example, on the orchestration for the PR review loop, we have here also 5 workflow, code review, validate review comment, which will use another model in order to validate what the code review said. And then after the validation completed, we run fix review in order to fix the things that the validator approved. Once that's done, we do another code review on the changes in order to make sure nothing was impacted and the fixes are really fixing what we need. And once everything done, we can run the final PR review, and the orchestrator can know how to do loops on that. And this is exactly what we're going to see now. We're going to go back to the ticket that was created for us, and let's see what happened with them. All right, so let's go back to monitoring, and let's have a look on, we have this ticket to PR delivery orchestration, and we have the review loop. Basically, we see that in the review loop, everything was already completed before, but we didn't get to that stage with the new tickets. We can see that the new tickets or the new orchestrations that started 28 minutes ago, each one of them is in a different step. We have one in create PR, one in auto root cause analysis, another one completed with generate requirements, which probably decided to stop after the requirements were ready. And if we'll go into each one of them, we'll go into this create PR from design, we can see the history of that. We can see what happened here. So we can see that it started 28 minutes ago with an automated ticket triage, which completed with a decision to go to requirements because A, B, and C. And then the generate requirement was running for 5 minutes. After it was finished, it moved to technical design proposal, which ran and completed, and then create PR started. So the entire stack, the entire loop, just by creating a ticket 28 minutes ago or 23 minutes ago, and we already have the PR running. Each one of those steps, by the way, we can see the full log. So if I will go to this one live right now, we can see what's going on here. We can see that it started with the identify repository step and clone repo and prepare context. This is just the workflow that call create PR from design. So if I will go to that workflow, we can see that it's very similar to the other workflow we saw before for the code review or whatever. And the agent or the supervisor on the orchestration decided to start with the first workflow and then the second one and then the third one, and everything is monitored here. So we can actually see if we just, let's filter just what's currently running. We can see that we have these 3 and they are running, each one of them in a step. By the way, we see this one from 12 hours ago, waiting for a human in the loop. This is a demo I started yesterday on this project. So it's just waiting for me. So this is the magic. This is what happening here. And now let me show you that in like actual GitHub views and so on. And let me take any one of those things that are running now. Let's go to issue 10780. And by the way, you see this is Jira tickets. So Overcut created the tickets on Jira. Jira triggered the process. So just to make it less confusing, the part of creating the ticket is just for the demo purpose. Of course, in real life, something else will create the ticket. A customer request, a bug report, a bug in production, a developer who's working on something and did something and want to open a bug, product manager that want to open a feature. So this is the usual flow of creating intake into the Jira or whatever Git or ticket repository are using. And then Overcut starts running on that. So it started with, let's go back. It started with implementation started till whatever it was, the triage. Now it's running on the create PR from design. If we look on the history, we can see how it started before with generate requirements and so on. So everything is here, everything is documented. And the requirements, by the way, are all available here on this ticket. So end to end, everything is available both on the ticket and also on Overcut. And let's go and look on one of the code review loops, which I think can also, I don't know, I just take one of them and let's hope there is something substantial here. Let me just see. All right, this one was easy because it was no issue found and it closed with no issues. Let me find another one. Let me see, open few ones. All right, that's good. All right, so we see this one, for example. It was created 1 hour ago and by Overcut from another ticket. So if I will go to the ticket in Jira, we can actually see where it started, show confirmation after copying custom event secrets, and I'll go back to the pull request. Overcut created the pull request, and once it was done, the code review loop orchestration started automatically. And we can see that the code review run, it added 2 comments, and then once it added the comments, and I will show you already the process. You can see the comment, you can see the review, you can see the fix, and then the last validation. But if I will just collapse that and I will go and see the actual process, after the code review, the validated run and give us the summary, including adding the comments on the reviews, and then the fixed review comments run and fix those, and he actually gave us the plan and the implementation, and we can actually look on each one of the commits to see what this specific fix was doing, including adding test or whatever. And then another PR re-review was running, approving that, final approve check, and this PR is ready to be merged. So just because something was opened an hour ago, 30 minutes ago, we already have something ready for a human to be able to come, look at it, approve it, and say, all right, I approve it. Oh, maybe no. Let me take it now to Claude, to Cursor, maybe do the last mile if needed on edge cases. But the more you will improve the processes with knowledge, with context, with guardrails, with tools, the more PRs you can bring to the end with full success. And the percentages of taking tickets from Jira to pull request or to do code review or to do planning can increase with time, because everything you see here, and maybe just one last thing, Raz, before I get it back to you, everything that runs here, and this is very interesting to see, if I will go to this final PR review approval, for example, and I will go to the actual workflow that called final PR review approval, we can see there is something here called self-improvement. And self-improvement auto runs every 10 executions, sampling 40% of the execution. And by itself, the retrospective is another workflow in Overcut that collects the logs from previous executions. And we can see all the steps that was done by this agent, reading tools, writing stuff, doing stuff, and then eventually processing everything into tentative memories, creating actual memories, updating weights on previous memories that were being helpful or negatively impacted our workflow and decreasing the results. And these memories available for the agent on the next run. And if I will go back to I'll go back to the dashboard of the final PR approval, we can see those memories. We can see that 4 active memories are currently exist for this workflow. They are managed per step. So each step has its own memories, how to do the orchestration step and how to do the final approval review and so on. Eventually you create here the factory, the machine that knows how to take a task, any task, and automate it completely with agent, with full control, full transparency, governance, audit, scale, sandboxing, secrets, and many, many more.
Yeah. And I just want to remind everyone that we opened those tickets right at the beginning of this session, and we already have ready after validating, after fixing the comments, pull request. And I think that we discussed that it's really hard to build this kind of platform, but I think it's like necessary. Whatever, if you're deciding to build it yourself or taking it as a on the shelf product, I think this is like how software development lifecycle going to look like. Like it's inevitable. Um, so yeah, and I think there was a few questions in the chat, but we didn't want to interrupt to the demo flow. So now it's a good time. So everyone, if you want to ask a question, we can check the chat and you can raise your hand and we can
Yep.
allow you to talk. So yes, I can see Guy. Let me see.
I can see already one question from Ram. Let me try to
Okay.
answer that. What is the brand, provider, and model behind Overcut? Is it connected to our API keys or we buy tokens from Overcut? Let me reshare my screen, and that's really great question. And the answer is that you have all options. Let me quickly share my screen. All right. So going back to the workspace setting, you can connect your own LLM models and bring your own keys for anything. So you can connect to OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, Anthropic, AWS Bedrock, Open Router. Of course, anything that is OpenAI compatible, if you have any local gateways, Light LLM, or any other thing like that. On-prem, we have enough customers using open source model air gapped with Overcut. And you can connect anything. Once you connect those models, if I will go back to any one of those agents, you can choose what will be the model for the agent. So you can have one agent doing code review with Codex and another agent writing the code with Anthropic or Opus, and they will just judging each other and critical doing critic on one and each other. You can use cheaper model for maybe easier task, and you can use more expensive models for other tasks. And if I will just remind you, if I will go to the workflow, let's have a look on design, for example. Um, you can have multiple agents running on the same step, and you can have different agent on different steps. So for example, you can do the planning with one agent, and then you can delegate that to another agent to do the writing, and then another agent to do the validation, and each one of them has its own model per your selection. That's one question. The second question about the harness, about the tools, not just the model. And if you look on any one of those agentic step, for example, this multi-agent session, you can select something called our execution engine. And you can choose between Overcut and Claude. Claude meaning you run with Claude SDK. The entire process, you can bring your own tokens, you can bring your own keys. You let Claude do the run on the sandbox we run, or you can select Overcut, which is our own harness. Both of them have their advantages and disadvantages because Overcut is well more fitted to the Overcut workflow and concept, but obviously many other tasks Claude can do better. So you can choose. And by the way, we are just around the corner of adding support to Cursor SDK and even Copilot SDK, being asked from some customers. So it's really up to you to decide how you want to run things.
Yes, and I want to add that we know that AI is not deterministic and it's not perfect, but we do know that if you are using multiple models, different models, the accuracy and the results are becoming much more quality. So this is something that we totally recommend. Use not just one model. Don't rely all your organization on just one type of model. And I think we have another question. They asked if we have MCPs. Of course, we have.
Let's see that. Let me show you that. All right. So basically, when you create an agent, you can connect any agent to certain pre-selected set of MCP servers and skills. So for example, I have here an MCP server for Figma, for Grafana, or I can add any MCP from our catalog, or you can add any custom MCP, of course, just by getting the JSON of the MCP and use it. You can even create multiple instances of the same MCP. So let me add the Figma MCP now. And I have two Figma MCPs, but one of them I can whitelist specific tools, and the other one, maybe I can whitelist other tools and give one agent. Let me stay and let me save that. I can give one agent access to the Figma MCP and another one access to the other Figma MCP and actually control the setup. So one of them will run with one secret or one credential, one specific set of tools. The other one will have another whitelisting set of tools, and you can have full control on that. Same for skills. You can migrate your skills from your own marketplaces, repositories. So I'm just selecting, for example, Overcut, and I'm looking for skills. I will find all the skills that are already in this marketplace or repository, and then I can add them. I can register them into Overcut and then assign them to agent per role, per task.
Great. So, last chance. Any more questions? Thank you. Thank you for joining our webinar. Let's stay in touch. If you are like passionate about Agentic SDLC, we would love to stay in touch. Yuval, you want to say something before we
Yes,
wrap it
yes,
up?
yes. So I think very important to take with you guys that access to Overcut is basically free to start with. You can go sign in or sign up, start using Overcut. You can bring your own models for the tokens. You get credit from us in order to do some initial executions. Of course, you want to run it on your premises, private cloud, on-prem. This is all offering that we do support for larger organization, regulated organization, industries. So talk with us. We can help with that. But just play with it. Let us know what you think. Please reach out if you have any questions, any feedback, any thought. Always happy to hear that. And thank you very much for spending the time with us today.
Thank you. Have a nice evening or a nice day,
Thank
whoever
you
is in
much,
this day.
Raz. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.